Z209191686 of Passay Development LLC requesting permission to work in an upland review inland wetlands area for construction of a 3 single-family dwellings, sewer lines, wells, utility services, driveway with a 3 to 7 foot wide wetland crossing on site. Grading on property located on Pond Hill Road, Moosup, map 29, block 122, lots 62, 63, and 63A.
3 copies there. Good evening to the record. My name is Paul Terwilliger, licensed land surveyor with PC Survey Associates, representing the applicant this evening. Just for the record, Keith Passay, the applicant and owner, is also in attendance. We have 27 acres of land off of Pond Hill Road, located on the north side of the road. And it's comprised of 3 different lots that he wants to build houses on. It's served by common right-of-way for utilities and access coming off of Pond Hill Road. There's the existing gravel driveway running from Pond Hill Road all the way up through to the rear lots to the rear, actually beyond our property there, probably over a quarter mile anyway, of the driveway that's already there. It kind of turns into a cart path as it gets out, after 1,000 feet or so. But it's, you can tell it used to be a traveled gravel driveway in the past. Wetlands on the property, there's a wetland associated with Tyler Brook, which is also the westerly boundary of the property. There's a wetland area that comes off of that, and there's a tributary running from the east that feeds into it, which is basically an area of groundwater bleed out. That tributary area crosses the existing cart path that we want to use for driveway access to the rear. So we'll be proposing putting in a culvert at that crossing. There's a sheet here with more detail on it of that. On this sheet here, I've got the wetland areas indicated with blue, the 100-foot buffer area indicated with the green dashed line. The orange area indicates where the driveway would be crossing the wetland. We're proposing excavating across the driveway and putting in a 18-inch HDPE pipe with riprap at both ends, a riprap line swale on both the entrance into the pipe and the exit out of the pipe. The grades to the west of the outlet, it's a rather steep hill there, and the wetland that runs down, there's an actual gouged out area that the stormwater has been traveling over the years. It's not very wide. At the crossing, we're probably between 3 feet and 7 feet where it crosses the driveway. There's also an isolated pocket here, an isolated pocket up in here. This one, we're clearly no activity within 100 feet of. Proposed houses, we kept the proposed houses over 100 feet away from any wetlands that are on the property. The houses that we serve, there's public sewer in Pond Hill Road. So we're going to be tying into the sewer lines, the proposed houses, so there won't be septic systems adjacent to the wetland areas. Again, utilities will be run up the proposed driveway as well. We kept the grading at 8% or less so that we wouldn't have to pave it, except for down by the road, but that's well beyond your jurisdictional area. So yeah, the total area of wetlands disturbance is about 620 square feet. We'll be removing probably 30 yards of material, replacing that with gravel, and probably about 12 yards of stone. The outlet protections and an outlet protection. If you have any questions or anything I didn't cover.
Does anybody in your audience have anything for or against this project?
Not pertaining to the wetlands, but how is this going to impact the rights of others for said cart paths that are in the property?
Well, the deed for the property states that others have rights of way over the cart paths.
Yes.
So they would remain intact.
Okay.
I don't know why they would go away.
All right.
Can you review the erosion controls that you're going to use?
It's basically between the wetland areas and the activity on the downside side, we're proposing silt fence. And again, we've got the, on the swale, more swaled areas, we've got proposing hay bale check dams periodically,
In this area?
in that area there.
Where the crossing is?
Where the crossing is,
We need to check dams.
We'd have check dam down at the bottom of the crossing, so probably back to silt fence. On the other side of the riprap area.
What time of year were you proposing to do this?
Do you have a timeline on that?
I don't really have a timeline.
I mean, the dry season is usually
Yeah.
the best time of the year to do wetland.
Yeah, my point was, just make sure it's in the dry season. There shouldn't be any water in that, in stream anyway.
Yeah, there usually is unless it's raining out.
The surrounding soils are very gravelly, so anything, it perks into the ground. Rather happen.
Were you proposing for mitigation for the wetlands that are being filled?
We didn't propose any mitigation.
Would it be possible to do some sort of mitigation?
I would think so, somewhere. I would have to look into that, going more in depth. I don't see where we couldn't. I mean, it's about 620 square feet, so I'm sure we can find that somewhere.
When you say you can find it, you're talking about,
We could find an area that we could either through drainage or something, have a set on area.
Okay, does anybody else in the audience have anything for or against this project? close the public hearing.
Do we want to close it?
Okay. Make a motion to close the public hearing. All in favor? Yeah, I need a second.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Public hearing's closed. We move on to our regular meeting. Roll call. From all to the left, Ralph Wells, Joe Campbell, Ron DeJong, the chairman, Randy Stillwell, Brian Gray, engineer.
Wetlands agent,
Is that
wetlands agent.
wetlands agent, and Dodie Mino, our recording secretary. I'll call the meeting to order. First item is review and act on the minutes of the meeting dated December 17, 2019. I entertain a motion to accept minutes. For a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Unfinished old business.
Well, now you have 4 items to add, so
Oh,
on the cover page of my report. So, yeah, these, I'm sorry, 3 items to add.
Okay. Z 2020-1698 of Stephanie Gluck for a driveway with wetlands crossing just east of 200 Dow Road. Assessors map 25, lot 36, lot 45. The next one, Z 2020-1700 of Sammy P. Incorporated requesting permit for earth excavation, processing, and removal of at Millbrook Road, assessors map 10, block 17, lot 5, phase 2. Next one, Z 2020-1704, North End Automotive seeking approval for an 8,400 square feet commercial building associated with parking and automotive sales and service.
Do we have any location information for that application?
This is just south of the Victorian, which is now Seabird Enterprises. If you're familiar with that, it used to be a spinning wheel gift shop.
Yeah.
So the field adjacent to it, to the south.
Make a motion those 3 items be added to the agenda.
Seconded.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, our next item, Z 2019-1684 of Joseph Griffin requesting permission to work in an upland review area for grading and installation of
Oh, yeah, back up. This one, first one, pass it over.
Say right on your sheet.
Okay, we're going on past A, Development LLC. Requesting permission to work in an upland review in the wetlands area for construction of 3-family dwelling, sewer lines, utilities, driveway with a 3 to 5 feet wide crossing. Site grade on property located at Bond Hill Road, Luso, map 29, lot 122, lots 62 and 63. Do you have any other discussion?
My only concern would be that there was no mitigation, but apparently they can add somewhere in here 620 square feet to offset the loss of wetlands that the crossing's going to create. I'd like to make a motion to approve with the condition that we receive modified plans, including that 620 square feet of compensatory wetland.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. You're all set.
Thank you.
Our next item, C 2019-1684 of Joseph Griffin, requesting permission to work in an upland review area for grading and installation of gravel surface for storage, materials, equipment, attachments, plows, scissor lifts on the property located at 120 Norwich Road, Central Village, map 15, lot 72, lot number 1.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Norm Tebow, Killing Engineering Associates. I'm here representing Mr. Griffin this evening. Mr. Griffin is here as well, if there are any questions that I can't answer. Essentially, this is a, historically it's been used for pretty much the same use that Mr. Griffin is using it for. He has towing service, he does some auto repair. He bought it from the gentleman named Robert Uva, who did the same thing at this facility. We did receive, on behalf of Mr. Uva, there was a site license area was granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals, and the site has been used historically for the same purposes. Now, what Mr. Griffin is here for is that the rear of the property is just very much overgrown. It's been utilized in the past for storage area and activities associated with the auto business that's been here, and it's really become unusable because, as with most of the properties that are located along the eastern side of Norwich Road, Route 12, it appears that a lot of the property and a lot of the usable land here was once wetlands. In fact, a lot of this total parcel is wetlands. We've got this license area of 1.7 acres. There's about 30 acres back there, which is substantially wetlands. There's really not a whole lot of usable area. This, I guess in essence, this is really more of a maintenance request to be able to put a little better gravel surface down in the back there so it can be utilized. There will not be any storage of vehicles back there. That's really not the intention. The intention is to utilize the front display area for vehicles. And this other area that's located sort of in the northwestern portion of the site, there's a small area over here as well that they'd like to utilize. My conversation with Ryan this afternoon, he said that in any areas that they'd be storing vehicles or using for display area, he would prefer that it were a hard surface, a paved surface, and I don't believe there would be an issue with that. For the back here, what Mr. Griffin does is purchase things like buckets for backhoes or forks for forklifts, things like that. He just keeps them on pallets in these areas. He keeps, typically buys them at auction and keeps them on hand. His side business is selling this type of stuff. And this just gives him an opportunity to store it back there on a dry pallet and be able to access those pieces of equipment back there. As I said, seasonally, it gets pretty muddy back there. It's really difficult to traverse. In my opinion, with what we're proposing here, we're going to be putting nice clean gravel over that surface, constructing a stone berm around the perimeter so that any kind of runoff that would act as a filtering mechanism. And of course, during construction, there will be silt fence installed as well. That's really kind of it in a nutshell. It's like I said, I'd consider it more of a maintenance request than anything. We're not proposing to disturb any areas that have not been previously disturbed or fill any wetlands. But as the site lays out, all of the activity is within the upland review area.
Could you just point, I can't really see it from here, the wetland boundary is the top,
The wetland boundary
Okay.
is all here.
okay, and then inside of that, the dark line, that's
That's the silt fence.
silt fence.
Silt fence there, and then right inside the silt fence, we're showing that stone berm. And we are keeping it, I mean, the site is essentially cleared right up to the wetlands, always has been. It's nothing that Mr. Griffin has done. We're pushing that activity about 15 feet away from the wetlands, just to give ourselves a little bit of a buffer. We're not proposing to put any kind of fill in within that 15 feet.
Is that area, it's already cleared?
Yes, it's already been cleared. What we show here, this is kind of a brush line that's there, but it's just stuff that is emergent stuff that has come up over the years. It's just as I'm sure you you mow a field and you don't tend it for a few years, and then stuff starts growing there, and that's really what it is. It's just all invasive vegetation.
Does anybody have any other questions for him?
I did have some suggested conditions of approval on page 3 of my report.
I did have one question, Ryan, for you, you did recommend that hard surface where the vehicles would be parked. Would pavement buildings be an acceptable alternative?
I believe so.
Yeah.
That's something we can discuss at planning zoning level.
Yeah, okay.
And where's that parking area?
That's right, it's right here.
That area.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to see 2019-1684 be approved with stipulation that the plans be revised with a note indicating the gravel storage area behind the building is not to be used for vehicle storage, or any implement that can leak fluids. And the vehicle parking area to the north of the building is paved or with reclaimed asphalt.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Right?
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for your time. Okay, our next item. D 2019-1687, Garrett Homes LLC, requesting permission to work in an upland review area for construction of a 99,100 square foot metal building with parking spaces. Retail building. On spaces located at 7 Moosa Pond Road, Warwigan.
Hello. Ready?
Go ahead.
All right. Director, my name is Matt Bruton. I'm an engineer from BL Companies here on behalf of Garrett Homes. I'll walk you through the project and hopefully answer any questions you have. Existing surveys on the board now. Moosa Pond Road across the top. Putnam Road diagonally here. This is the intersection where they meet. Currently, this is actually 2 parcels. There's a sliver of land right here and a larger lot here, both owned by Mr. Corson. Historically, this sliver of land was actually part of Putnam Road before the intersection was modified 30, 40 years ago. Together, the lots are a little over 5 acres. Topography varies from 236 in this corner here all the way down to 222. This is the wetland in green, and the pink line shows the upland review area. There are obviously wetlands on site with the upland review area, and that's kind of it for the existing conditions. There's an existing home right here, and one right here as well. Under proposed conditions, this is kind of rotated slightly, so Moosa Pond is this way, Putnam is across the bottom. The wetlands are over here. This is the upland review line. So as you can tell, we're literally just touching a sliver of the upland review area, and there's no direct wetland impacts. What we're proposing is a 9,100 square foot retail building, shown here in this tan color. A single access drive to Putnam Road. We have 46 paved parking spaces that are shown in the dark gray, which complies with local zoning regulations. Of the 2 lots, the lot line will be modified to accommodate this new structure. The existing home on Moosa Pond Road will be demolished. The other one here will remain as is. In terms of utilities, everything is available either on site or in the street. So gas, sanitary, electric, telephone. In terms of stormwater, we're increasing impervious area, so we need to treat stormwater for the 2004 Connecticut Stormwater Manual and the 2002 Sediment Erosion Control Guidelines. We're proposing a stormwater system on site, which will match the drainage patterns, attenuate peak flows for the 210 and 100-year events, and also provide 80% TSS removal, which is total suspended solids. We're doing that with a series of catch basins with deep sumps and hoods. We have water quality swales, we have hydrodynamic separators, and we have an above ground detention basin. As you can see here, obviously these are some of the pipes connections in the driveway. This is a detention basin back here. It'll spill out in this area here and continue to go down to the wetland, so it's not deprived of the water that it gets today. And when it discharges from here, it'll basically be cleaned through all these devices. We also have in our plan a set of photometric plans shows the site lighting for safety and security. They're LED, dark sky compliant, full cutoff fixtures. In addition to what we've shown on this plan, in the packet there is a erosion and sanitation control plan. So that is devices that the contractor would use during construction to make sure none of your roads or wetlands are affected while the ground isn't stabilized. So that shows things like silt fence, silt sacks, construction entrances, soil stockpile areas, erosion control blankets. So that's kind of the quick runaround. You know, we're barely touching upland review area, no direct wetland impacts, and obviously we have a new state-of-the-art stormwater management system once the place is built and operational.
Does anybody have any other questions?
The outfalls on the top right, from your
Go here.
set, on the top
Oh,
right.
yeah.
What's that on the left side of the building?
Here.
Here.
Yeah, so currently, when the road was realigned, whenever that happened to be, there's a DOT piping that cuts diagonally across this parcel. So this is Moosa Putnam. There's drainage pipes that go diagonally across this parking lot, or across this parcel. So what we're proposing to do with that is cut it off here and put it into a swale, and so it doesn't actually cut diagonally through the proposed building and parking lot. So basically, the water from the street will outlet here through a head wall and a swale and continue on to where it was going. Our system will also capture and be cleaned and discharge here as well, so water continues to go that same direction. Goal obviously is to clean the water, but also to match the drainage points as well. So everything goes in this direction. Same thing with this side here. There is a drainage pipe that went straight through this side. We're going to put a catch basin, divert it, and put it in a swale as well, so nothing will be affected by the building at all. DOT was nice enough to give up the land and leave all the stuff on it for the landowner to deal with.
You handle their water, right?
Do we have a plan showing all the temporary erosion controls?
Yeah, EC1 in the plan set and EC2 in the plan set show the devices, the silt fence, silt sacks, construction entrances, and then EC2 actually shows the order of construction and what they need to be, what needs to be done.
Do we have the plans?
Perhaps you just want to toss it over here and get these out.
Those are the devices. So the kind of on the perimeter around the basin, you can see this hatch pattern for some of the steeper slopes regarding the swales and drainage basins. So that has an erosion control blanket on that for the slopes that are 2-to-1, 3-to-1. We also show the SF, which goes around the perimeter, which is the silt fence, which is designated by the SF that goes all the way around. We also have a construction entrance, which is riprap stone that knocks off all the grit and grime from construction vehicles, so it's not dragged into the right of way. We also show the corner here, you can see the symbol of a silt sack. Those would go on all the catch basins, providing catch filters into the system prior to the site being stabilized. We also stockpile areas for soil here, and we also show a concrete wash pit for the contractor during construction. If you go to EC2, obviously this is our whole construction sequence and erosion control for a variety of situations with this project. It's a lot of words, but that basically covers all the situations involved in this project.
Any other discussion? Concerns?
motion Z 2019-1687 be approved.
Is there a second?
Motion second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? You're all set.
Thanks so much.
Ecos Energy.
Is that?
Ecos Energy.
Okay, new business, 2020-1797 of Ecos Energy LLC, requesting permission to work in an upland review and inland wetlands area for removal of sediment in wetland buffers associated with construction on previously approved facility and installation of additional erosion control measures located on property at 91 Plainfield Pike, Plainfield map 17, block 36, lot 69 and 37.
Good evening, my name is Bob Russo. I'm a soil scientist with CLA Engineers in Norwich, Connecticut. And we've been working on the project for Ecos, the solar farm, which I'm sure you're associated with and came before you in the past. Your staff discovered that there were sediment deposits and some work that had been done beyond the limits of what was permitted out there. And Ecos asked us to come up with a plan to remediate and restore the wetlands out there. I walked out there with a representative from the construction company and from Ecos as well, and assessed what had gone on and what I thought were the best ways to clean it up. Just to orient you, the Plainfield Pike, or 14A, is here at the top of the map. North is pointing up on this map. There's a long driveway into the site, the existing building that's on the site, and then this phase that's labeled phase 1 is an area of the solar field that's largely complete. There was a wetland crossing to get to the second phase. That wetland crossing, in some road, will be coming up to the top of our berm and then coming down to the 3-to-1 slope to the floor of our excavation. And this portion of the site will be excavated. These two vertical dash lines, the capacity to handle commercial and industrial traffic. It has public water, sewer, and gas. So we're not looking to create a parcel that's unusable for the future. We're looking to create pad sites that we can actually do something with after the removal of the earth product. Next sheet has sections B and C. Again, B running through phase 2. You can see again Millbrook Road is up here. That swale adjacent to the road, our berm, the 3-to-1 slope, and then the cross slope across the bottom of the floor of the excavation. And then this bump in the line indicates what the berm would be, again, between the floor of the excavation and the delineated wetland limit. You can see that on this one, we have the the delineated wetland limit at elevation approximately 146. We have the bottom of our monitoring well at elevation 150, which we have not received any indication of groundwater in. And then across the way in the Lowe's property where their basin is, the elevation of that outlet is at 154.5. So again, we're still well below the floor of our excavation with any potential groundwater. Section C, again, the berm on the portion of that adjacent to part of the wetlands, and then the more significant berm
on the northerly side as it goes towards the Gluck property. Again, with groundwater elevations at about 144.5 on the east and approximately 143.5 on the west, well below the floor of our excavation. Sheets 9 through 11 are inclusive of the operation and maintenance for erosion controls, a project narrative construction sequence, details for the hay bale check dams, details for the concrete fueling pad, loaming and seeding for restoration, sediment fence, our wood chip berm, the anti-tracking pad, and then of course the diversion swales and modified riprap areas, as well as the sequencing and details for the temporary sediment traps. This is all consistent with the prior plan, and I'd just like to point out that the prior plan, having been approved, was vetted through CME Associates as the town's consulting engineer. We received very few comments with regard to modifications to those plans. Those few comments that we did receive on the first phase of this project, we've already incorporated into this project plan set for the second phase. So I don't anticipate any additional or new comments from CME Associates regarding the approach to this excavation. Sheet 10 indicates the detail for the temporary sediment traps and also the conversion of those traps to permanent basins upon completion of the site excavation. And then lastly, sheet 11, which is probably of the least interest to any of you, is just a locus plan for orientation purposes for notifications that are required to go along with the special permit application of planning and zoning. Really doesn't have anything to do with wetlands, but it's the last sheet of the plan set. So, having described all of this, and I probably went through it fairly quickly, our goal is to mobilize for clearing on this operation this spring, and when we do, that mobilization we'd like to do in one time. I spoke to Ryan earlier today and was looking for an avenue in which the commission could consider an action on this application this evening if you felt comfortable. The standard requirement, the standard policy is to retain an application for a minimum period of 15 days before an action is taken, simply to satisfy the statutory requirement, which allows for a member of the community or someone to petition you for a public hearing. I kind of looked at this as potentially an extension of the initial permit that has already been granted and some type of modification. Brian and I talked about that, and I don't know that there's really an avenue for that. It doesn't really, it's not, there isn't a clear avenue for that in your regulations or in the statutes. So it would really be up to your discretion as to whether you wanted to do that. And then the other consideration that I would potentially ask is, if that's not an option, I would ask if the commission would consider potentially a special meeting in advance of the planning and zoning public hearing that's been scheduled for February 11th, so that we could kind of get these two applications on the same timeline in terms of mobilization this spring. Again, it's not your problem. It's something that we're trying to do. And quite frankly, when we started this project, we looked at the east side of the property, and that was where the focus was. In doing so, we started to look at the westerly portion of the property and realized that there was a significant amount of material and the ability to create a second very desirable pad in that location. And so we kind of, it was literally a second phase. It was kind of a second thought, second phase, and now we're just trying to catch the two things up together so that in terms of mobilization for construction in the spring, we can kind of dovetail them together. But again, it's up to the commission. It's not something that I'm sure it's not common.
As I'm not able to find anything in the statutes that would allow you to approve it tonight, the only avenue to approve it sooner will be to hold a special meeting. That's up to you.
I don't see any reason why we should treat this application any different than we have all the other applications over the many years this board's been meeting. So I make a motion Z 2020-1700 be tabled until the next regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay, motion's been made Is there a second? Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, and I didn't mean any offense by asking.
No offense taken, I just understand our
I
perspective.
understand it.
Understand our perspective.
Absolutely.
Is every other application that's come through here has gone by the same standard, and there's no real reason to make a change now.
I completely respect that, and it's one of those, if you don't ask.
It doesn't hurt to ask, exactly.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
One last. Last page of the packet.
Okay, last one. D 2020-1704 of North End Automotive seeking approval for 8,400 square commercial building with associated parking for automotive sales and service.
And I don't see anyone here to present. So this is on Norris Road. The used to be the Victorian. At one point in time, it was a spinning wheel gift shop. And now it's Sebring Enterprises. This lot is a field just to the south of that. And they're looking to put in a used automotive car sales building and parking area. So, as this is the first night you're receiving it, you cannot act on it until next month.
Which kind of goes along with the previous application. Make a motion, we table Z 2020-1704 till next month's meeting.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Actually,
We have no agent approvals. Down number 6. Second page. Next page. This one. So we're down number 6.
agent approvals.
And we have none.
Citizens participation. Correspondence,
We have no correspondence this month.
complaints,
None.
other,
Nothing.
The motion, we adjourn.
all in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.